Mel? Yeah, hi. Good morning. I'm not really here today to talk about an accident. My story is more about how I've lived for the last 19 years since. 1993, I was married, a couple of kids. Daughter I was 2, my son had just been born. And I found myself working on a construction site. Now I fell 10 feet from a ladder doing a job that I knew was unsafe. So I actually knew what I was doing. I took the gamble because I simply believed it wasn't happening to me. January 3rd, 1993, the day of my accident, I fell from a ladder, ambulance was called, and I'm taken to the local hospital. And after being initially told that everything was fine, I'd be okay, 20 minutes later came the news they'd made a mistake. And for the rest of my life, I'd spend in a wheelchair. I spent 5 months in rehab. Now at the time, I truly believed rehab meant somewhere where you went to learn how to walk. But the people who go to rehab, for the vast majority, they are there to learn how to use a wheelchair, manage the bowels and manage the bladder. Now I was 24. I still truly believe that this wasn't going to happen to me. So if you can imagine, being told for the rest of your life you'd have to wear a bag. Initially, I laughed. I said, no chance, I ain't going to wear one of these. These are what old people have to wear. Well, I was basically told, for my situation, this was the only option. Now, I have to also use a condom type thing. Now, I have to wear one of these 24 hours a day. And it's 19 years since my accident, and I still detest this. They are not 100% reliable, but on the whole, pretty good these days. Now, these are actually developed by NASA for the spacemen. Now, it might not sound very much to you people, but I'm on stage for my training to be a spaceman, they don't want you people. It just sort of cheers me up. But by no doubt, the biggest impact I have when I'm doing the talks, especially when I'm speaking to the other guys, is how I physically have to go to the toilet. Chew this stuff, squeeze my backside, and you wait sort of 10-15 minutes. Then you put on a rubber glove, choose a finger, and basically shove it up your backside and literally scoop it out. Now, I'd not cried since my accident. The nurse left the room, and I thought to myself, do you know what, I can't do this. First time took me over an hour, went back to my bed, feeling sorry for myself all afternoon, asking the usual question. Why me? Why me? I was a good lad, a family man, hard working. And that evening my wife came with the kids. And my daughter had been sat on the end of my bed. And I can remember looking at her thinking to myself, do you know what? You haven't really got a choice in this. So I decided to get myself as fit as I could and get out of this bloody hospital. And on January 3rd, 1993, I'm discharged. All my friends staying down the pub, get home, sleeping downstairs in my living room at the time. And my wife picks up Saturday morning and she says to me, you stay in bed, I'll take the kids to lunch for a bit, I'll see you later. And I'd been at home most of the day, sort of late afternoon, got a phone call. And it was from her mum. And she simply said, look, there's no easy way of telling you this, but she's not coming back. She's left you. So I've been out of hospital for one day. And on the very first day, she walks out with the kids. Now, in her defence, she was 23 at the time. My daughter Abby just turned 3, and my son Sam was nearly 1. She's not here today to give her side of the story about how my accident affected her life. And I suppose it would be quite easy for me just to sit here and slag her off. So I will. Yeah, it's a bit of a cheap line, I say it every time. You're basically told when you're in hospital that if your marriage or relationship has got any kind of problems, the chances are you ain't going to survive this. And we have been having a few problems before my accident. Yeah, a few. Your mates will always rally around, do the best they can. But again, blokes being blokes, pretty rubbish at this sort of thing. And we know only one cure to try and cheer somebody up, which is what? The beer. Yeah. Quickly became an issue for me. Dad was still working. All my mates were at work all day. Mum used to come round and try and help. But I'm pretty shocked, pretty embarrassed how I used to treat my mum. I vented all my frustrations, all my anger out on my mum. So she's not coming around. I'd be sat in the house all day, bottle of vodka, drinking all day long. My friends would come home from work. They didn't have a clue what to do with me apart from push back down the pub, get more drunk, push me home, put to bed. And after falling out of my wheelchair, snapping the screw in my back, readmitted to hospital, another massive operation, come out, and I've lost the house where I was living. So you imagine a 6-month period of your life where you tip up to work one day with no cares of the world. But because of something that you do that you know is unsafe, you spend the rest of your life in a wheelchair. You're doubly incontinent. Your wife and your kids have walked out, now you've lost your house. I really wasn't coping. Seeing a counsellor, antidepressants, drinking really heavily. All I'd done for my accident was football mad. Home and away on a Saturday, Sunday we'd all play football for the same team. And at the start of the football season, I noticed my friends weren't going to the football. And after a bit of persuasion, just made them go back, which left me on a Saturday, basically sat in the house by myself. And started around with some lads. And it was quite common knowledge to everybody, these lads all took drugs. I said I'd knock around them because there was no way I'd get mixed with drugs. I'd go out and have a drink. After a few weeks, going around these people, not speaking up, you start to get involved. So the very first time, someone passed me a reflexy tablet. And I remember looking at it and thinking to myself, do you know what? Yeah, my life's at rock bottom. It can't possibly get any worse than what it is. Why not? And I took it. 20 minutes later, I'm sat there thinking to myself, life ain't too bad. You've got your kids. It's all right. Well, this was me drugged out my mind. And from that moment on, it didn't matter how much I drank or how much I took, I could never get that feeling again. And for the next 2 years, things were just escalating out of control. And nobody could stop it. My daughter had come back to me full-time the autumn of the night before to try and give me a focus. But unfortunately, by this time, it was sort of too late. And on January 1995, I overdosed. And for the next 17 days, I was in a coma in the intensive care unit on a life support machine. My mum and dad lived at the hospital and they're trying to ward about day 15. And we're basically told, your son's not responding to anything we tried. know, you've seriously got to consider switching the machine off. Luckily for me, my dad just said no way. If my son needs 24-hour care, that's what he'll get. Day 17 opened my eyes. Couldn't speak, so I was still on a ventilator. The brain damage suffered, luckily wasn't as bad as expected. I mean, I suffered really badly, sort of with short-term memory. Symptoms-wise, they didn't know what to do with me, and the best solution was to send me to a stroke unit. And I was there for 5 months. Literally learning how to speak again, how to dress himself, how to feed himself, even how to go to the toilet in the morning. If anyone wants to shake my hand, by the way, later on, just remember where this one's been. When I came out of hospital, daughter and I come back to me full time, and I was quite fortunate to stumble across water skiing. First time since my accident I'd done anything that didn't involve a wheelchair. Look after my daughter Abby, seeing my son Sam as much as I could, still drinking far too much, but on the whole, found a way of coping. 1998, 5 years after an accident, I finally offered an output offer of compensation, but it was for less than half the value of the claim. At the end of the day, I'd gone for ladder, it wasn't tied on. If we'd have got to court, 25% negligible, 50%, we was probably running a 50-50 risk of actually going to court and coming out with nothing. So I accepted the offer. And a couple of weeks later, I was told a few more problems cropped up, may take another couple of years. So the year 2000, my son Sam's 8 years old. He's at my house and he asked me if he could live with me and his sister. And I was made up, spoke to my ex-wife, she was remarried, and she agreed. Well, I'll always remember the day my dad went to pick him up. Came back, Sam got out of the car, a little bag on his back with some of his clothes. But what do 8-year-old lads carry with them absolutely everywhere? Yeah, these days, in them days of football. And you tell me I've missed this for 8 years, but sat in the garden with my mum, lovely summer's day, watching my dad kick football around the garden in the sun. And I just suddenly became aware that I was only football with my boy. And I don't think I'd cry since coming out of the hospital. I went in the house and I absolutely sobbed. Now at the end of the day, I did something at work that I knew was unsafe, and of all the crap I go through, the things I've missed out on my kids is the biggest thing I have to deal with. I think another bad one for me was, do you know, like you've been learning to ride a bike, you've had the stabiliser on for a couple of weeks, been through all the training, and it comes to the big day. And you take the stabiliser off the bike, you hold to the bike seat, and you make them a promise. And you promise them faithfully you're not going to let go. But as they get pedalling away, you let go of the bike seat. And during that moment, they get sort of 10, 15 feet down the path, put the foot down for the very first time, suddenly become aware they rode a bike, when they turn around and look at you. And you sort of well up me about how proud it makes you feel. At the end of the day, I had to sit and watch my dad do that. It's not my memory, it's my dad's memory. But it doesn't sort of end. You know, my daughter Abby now, she's 22, she's a lovely daughter, she's got a lovely boyfriend. And they're talking about getting married. How the hell am I supposed to walk my daughter down the aisle? And she knows it really bothers me. She said, Dad, when we do it, we'll go abroad somewhere, just a few of us. But while I eventually get some grandkids, Am I ever going to bounce my grandkids on my shoulders at the seaside? No. Because of something I did at work one day, which I knew was unsafe. And the guilt I feel towards my kids, the things I've missed out on, is probably the hardest thing I have to deal with. It took another 5 years. I finally got paid some compensation in January 2005, 14 years after an accident. And I truly believe that that was the end of the story. But for the first time since my accident, I became aware of how bloody depressed I was. And yet I got all this money in the bank. So I started spending. Got a nice flat where I live, paid cash for it, new car, nice clothes, nice holidays. I could have or do anything I wanted. Nothing. Nothing made any sense to me. I've got a lot of friends over in Tenerife. I used to go there for a couple of months at a time. Come back into the UK, spend a load of money. Now what? I'll go back to Tenerife. So the majority of 2007, 2008, I'm back and forth. Christmas 2008, in the UK, Christmas party, big drunk. And the guy came over to me, a complete stranger. And he just came out with, so why are you in a wheelchair? You had an accident? My son said, yeah, I fell off a roof. And he said, do you mind telling me what you did? And I sort of said, well, who are you? And he introduced himself. I said, look, I do behavioural safety. I really believe that someone's had an accident, going back into the workplace, sharing his experiences, can make a difference. And I said, look, I've not spoken about this with my mates, with my family, with my mum and dad. I don't think I'd even discussed it with myself. So I started on a few jobs with this guy, and I absolutely hated it. We used to speak for about 10 minutes, purely about an accident. Then I was doing a job somewhere, a young lad right at the front, his mobile phone on the table, just not listening. I don't know what came over me. I got my bag, I tipped it on the table, and I told him everything. And at the end of the session, he came up to me, shook my hand, and he says, thanks for that. He said, I get it now. And in that moment, I got it. Because this is not about me. It's not about you people listening to my story, feeling any kind of sympathy whatsoever. I've had my accident. This is about people sitting there and imagining something like this was happening to you. And now it would devastate your life. Because I am just a normal guy. And the only reason I put myself through this 4 or 5 days a week, sometimes 3 times a day, is for you. It's for you to take something away from this. And next time you get wobbly in your mind or you put something to work, you're not quite sure if it's safe, that you do something about it. I've done things since my compensation. I never before in my life. I've drove rally cars, microlights, gliders, helicopters, scuba diving, parachute jumps. Magical experiences I never would have done. Not one has come remotely close for me to say it is worth being in a wheelchair for. I detest the way I live. And bizarrely, the only good thing I've got in my life now is talking about the thing I was trying to forget about for 16.5 years. Because if I could stop one person going through this, I'm happy. My mum and dad finally get the compensation and they're just settling down a little bit. And over Sunday dinner, I proudly announced that I'm going to do a parachute jump. And they went ballistic. What are you bloody trying to do to us? You finally got your money, now you're going to throw yourself out of the plane. What is wrong with you? But I'd always fancied doing one. So I got on the day. The last plane up of the day. Taken up to 15,000 feet, strapped to an instructor. legs are dangling over the side, 3, 2, 1, you launch out. And you free fall for 10,000 feet. And 5,000 feet, the guy pulls his chute, chute opens, come down, and I basically land in people's arms. It was amazing. But the reason I tell the story is to do with perception of risk and consequence. Now, I watch these guys do 12 jumps before mine. They land, galley shoots, run to hangar, and they pack their own chutes, yeah? So when a parachutist is packing his chute, what doesn't he do? How many ways do you think they are to pack a parachute? One, the correct way. So when he's packing his chute, and he notices one of his strings is a bit frayed, or there's a small tear in his canopy, would he say to himself, it'll be alright for another couple of jumps? No. Because if he gets these wrong, what's going to happen to him? He's dead. And he knows it. So what's the perception of risk and consequence of a guy working 10, 15 feet off the ground? Has he even got one? Now that's what my story's about. But of all the crap I go through and how bad this really is, it's the damage I've done to everybody else. It's the hardest thing to deal with. You know, my mum and dad have been so traumatised, not only by my accident, but what I've put them through over the years, to an extent that 19 years after my accident, 3 years since I've done these talks, Mum and Dad's in the audience today. It's the first time they've been able to come and listen to this. Brother and sister, both dealt in different ways. The brother, he sort of struggled. Not because he was embarrassed of his brother being in a wheelchair. There was just nothing he could do or say to stop me down the road I went on. And the worse I became, the worse it affected my brother. And this will go through the rest of your family and then your mates. So I guarantee you, regarding your mates, for the first couple of years after your accident, they won't do anything that you can't be involved in. Over time, weekends away, lads holidays, rounds of golf. And they can go away and have a really good time, come back, see me, and they're just full of guilt, they'll be away enjoying themselves. Now, I was an absolute nightmare years after my accident. I used to go out and get blind drunk, fall out in the wheelchair. I always needed one of my friends to literally push me out and put me to bed. And for some of my friends, especially the football crowd, there came a time it was just easier not to be around me. My ex-father-in-law, he was at the top of the ladder when it slipped. He watched me fall, he watched me bounce on the ground. 3 months after my accident, his business collapsed. All the guys who worked for him lost their jobs. 6 months later, his house was repossessed. The guy's been in a job since, but he was telling me something quite recently that he still has nightmares to this day of watching me fall. I cannot see that image from his mind. Kids, Abby's now 22, lovely daughter, apple in my eye, never really gave me a problem. Sam's 19 going on 20. And up until Christmas, everyone's seen me speak before, I used to give Sam a really hard time. It's caused me a few problems over the years. But he's finally managed to get himself a job, working away from home 7 days a week, so it's quite good. But something came to me quite recently, that till Sam was 10 years old, I never had a problem with him. Dad was in a wheelchair, it's all that mattered. And they came in from school in his football kit from training. And he sat right in front of me, and he asked me the question, why do you never play football with me, Dad? Now he wanted me to say I'd been involved in a serious accident that wasn't my fault. But you imagine the look on his face when I told him, the reason I'm not playing football with you is because I fell 10 feet from an unsecured ladder. And the look on his face. And I truly believe that was the moment I started having problems with Sam, because bringing up young girls is relatively easy. Play with the dolls, do a bit of baking, a bit of colouring. Lads, on the garden with the dads, playing football, on the field, down the river. So when I had compensation, I tried to make it up with by buying them stuff. He had everything, mobile phones, clothes, fishing tackle. He left school, had scooters, give one every weekend to go out with his friends, pay for him to go on holidays. He could have or do anything he wanted. But what was the only thing he has ever wanted to do with his dad? Play football. And there ain't no amount of compensation that will ever make it up to Sam. About a year ago, now I've got a bit of fetish for the trainers, right? I love the trainers. I've got about 28 pairs now lined up in my wardrobe. Absolutely obsessed with the trainers. And Sam came to me, he goes, "Dad, need some new trainers." And I said, "It's simple, son. Get yourself a job and buy your own bloody trainers." And he snarled at me, "Ah, it's alright for you." And I said, "What do you believe mean it's alright for me? I work bloody hard. I sit in this thing all day long. If I want to buy myself loads of pair of trainers, I will do." And he stopped me. "Oh no, Dad, I didn't mean that." Now I always said there isn't nothing good about being in a wheelchair. But my wise-ass 19-year-old son has come to something I can't really argue with. "Oh no, Dad, I didn't mean that. What I meant was, your shoes are always like brand new." So in his wisdom, the only decent thing about being in a wheelchair, you do get cracking value out of shoes. My accident happened doing something that I knew was unsafe. How many accidents happened with the people had the accident but have actually known what they was doing was wrong?
Has your view on the use of ladders changed since having listened to the talk?
Preaching to the converted, really, because we're safety people anyway. So Jason's the sort of person we'd like to bring to our workplace and let him speak to the guys on the ground who actually do their job. That's what we'd really like.
Good. Thank you. Can you tell me what impact Jason's accident has had on your life?
Well, the impact is absolutely phenomenal. Nobody can understand the impact that it will have on the family. Not just me and his dad, his sister, his brother, and his aunties and his uncles. And I try so hard for Jason, and I don't cry to Jason anymore. But it's there, it could die with me in the heart. With me, whatever go away. The day that it happened. And what he's doing, I'm so proud. So proud. And if he can just save one person from being there, then that is wonderful. I just want him to take it a bit further and a bit further.